October 4th. 633. Edwin, the Great, King of Britain, killed at Hatfield. He wielded the sovereignty 17 years, during which the cumulus of heathenism began to break up in large masses. 1226. Francis, of Assisi, died, founder of the order of Franciscans, or Grey Friars. 1253. Robert Grosseteste, an English prelate, died. He wrote several voluminous works, possessed great learning, and a clear and vigorous intellect. 1434. Cosmo de Medici re-entered Florence from exile, and was received with the most extravagant demonstrations of public joy, and became, in fact, the prince of the state, accumulated enormous wealth, and lived in regal magnificence. 1489. John Wesselius, a Dutch ecclesiastic, died. His learning and abilities were so great, that the Pope sent for him to Rome, and offered him what he should ask for. He merely requested a Greek and Hebrew Bible in the Vatican. 1535. Was published the first edition of the whole Bible in the English language, being the translation of Miles Coverdale. 1590. James Cujacius, an eminent French lawyer, died. He rose from obscurity, and by his indefatigable industry, without the assistance of a master, perfected himself in Greek and Latin literature, and particularly in civil law. His works were published at Paris, in 10 volumes. Folio. 1595. John Maitland, Lord Thirlestane, an eminent statesman under James VI of Scotland, died. 1609. Henry Hudson, having explored the river to where it divided itself into several branches, returned to its mouth on this day, put to sea with all sails set, to report the tidings of his valuable discovery. 1660. Francis Albano, an eminent Italian painter, died at Bologna, aged 82. He particularly excelled in expressing the delineations of female and infantine beauty. His pieces are dispersed in the cabinets of Europe, and highly esteemed. 1691. Louis Abelli died, a French ecclesiastic, who devoted himself principally to literature, and left numerous works behind him. 1692. Charles Fleetwood, Lord Deputy under Cromwell, died, aged 74. He married the widow of the gloomy Ireton. Hesitating to declare at once for the king, he was allowed to end his days in obscurity. 1693. Battle near Marseille, in France, between the French under Catinat, and the Allies under Victor Amadeus and Eugene of Savoy, the loss of all their artillery, and 8,000 men. The Duke of Schomberg was mortally wounded. 1704. Alexander Selkirk, a Scottish mariner, put ashore on the desert island of Juan Fernandez, by orders of Captain Pratling, with whom he had a quarrel. He was allowed a fowling piece and ammunition, and a very few necessaries. In this desolate situation he continued 3 years, subsisting on goats, fish and fruits. 1743. John Baptiste Duhalde, a learned French Jesuit, died. He is the author of a description of China and Tartary, a valuable work, compiled from the curious and interesting observations of the missionaries of his fraternity. 1744. Henry Carey, an English dramatic poet, and music composer, died by suicide. Besides his poems, he wrote anthologies, to ridicule the style of tragedy then in vogue, and produced The Dragon of Wantley, as a burlesque on Italian opera. 1777. Battle of Germantown, in which the Americans were defeated, with the loss of 200 killed, 600 wounded, and 400 taken. The disastrous termination of this affair was owing to the darkness of the day, which embarrassed the operations of the Americans. 1780. The ships Resolution and Discovery, the circumnavigating ships which sailed under Cook and Clerke, returned, but without either of their original commanders. Both were dead. 1790. Anne Letts died, at South River, New Jersey, aged 107. 1794. Battle of Maśhiedzielus, in Poland. The forces under Kosciuszko overthrown. 1795. The Parisians attacked the National Convention, on account of the re-election of 2/3 of the members of that body. They were repulsed by the troops, under Bonaparte, who now first signalized himself. About 8,000 of the citizens were killed. 1799. Brunnen, in Switzerland, taken from the French by the Russians under Suwarrow. This affair, however, terminated the progress of the invaders. 1806. Samuel Horsley, a learned English prelate, died. He engaged in a sectarian controversy with Priestley. 1812. Ogdensburg attacked by the British, who were repulsed. 1812. American entrenched camp of Kaw. Newman attacked by the Indians, who were repulsed, with the loss of 30 warriors, among them 3 principal chiefs and their young king. 1813. American General Harrison attacked by the Indians, at Chatham, whom he repulsed, and pursued 4 miles. He took on this occasion 2,000 stand of arms, a quantity of clothing, and several cannon. Also 3 vessels laden with munitions. 1814. Samuel Jackson Pratt, a once popular English novelist and miscellaneous writer, died. 1815. Christopher Philip Oberkamp died, founder of the manufactory of printed linens at Joly, and of the cotton manufacture of Essonne, in France. He commenced a small business under great disadvantages, and in a short time collected a population of 1,500 in a spot which had been almost a desert. His manufactures became of so much importance to the country, that the king granted him letters of nobility, and a statue was decreed him by the Council General, a mark of generosity which he declined. 1821. John Rennie died, a celebrated Scottish civil engineer and mechanist. The canals, bridges, and other public works in England attest his abilities. 1830. York, Count von Wartenberg, a Prussian field marshal, died. He was one of the most distinguished generals in the wars against Napoleon. 1830. The independence of Belgium declared by the Central Committee at Brussels. The provinces of Belgium, violently separated from Holland, shall constitute an independent state. 1833. Richard Heber died, an Englishman of talents and learning, distinguished for his zeal in collecting books, a business which he followed assiduously during the last 30 years of his life. He left immense collections of rare and valuable works in various languages, in various cities in Europe. 1835. Third centenary, or 300th year from the printing of the first English Bible, that of Coverdale, generally celebrated in the different churches and chapels in England. This Bible, as appears from the colophon, was finished on this day, 1535. 1835. Telesforo de Truibicosia, a Spanish dramatist, died at Paris, aged 30. He resided principally in England, where he produced several dramas and novels. He wrote dramas in English, Spanish, and French, which were successfully produced at the several national theaters. 1851. Emmanuel Godoy, Prince of Peace, Minister of Charles VI and VII of Spain, died at Paris, in the 87th year of his age. 1853. The Great Republic, a mammoth clipper of 4,000 tons, and the largest merchant vessel in the world, was launched at East Boston, Massachusetts. 1854. The greater part of the town of Memel, a Prussian seaport, was destroyed by fire, including its churches, custom house, bank, and courthouses, at $5 million.